Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cardistrytalk. This is episode 55, and today I'm joined by Yaksun. You may know him for his cardistry moves, for snowboarding, and for being a really cool member of the community. This episode was suggested by Weston Hamilton, and I'm super happy to meet Yaksun. Yaksun, I'm going to start out asking what I ask everybody at the start. How did you get into cardistry?
Okay, so I have been doing cardistry since January of 2017. So I just hit my 5-year mark like a week ago, actually. But yeah, so Christmas 2016, I believe, my brother got me a deck of cards for Christmas. And that was like the only thing that he got me, and I was like super stoked on it just because he like got me something. And so I wanted to, try and make something work with it. And so I, growing up, I was always fascinated by David Blaine and like other street magicians. And so I started, looking up like basic card trick tutorials on YouTube and, learning how to do stuff that would like fool my friends and family. Got super into it for a little while, and about a month into doing that, if not less than a month into doing that, I stumbled across Tobias Levin's Tiger Woods on YouTube, and seeing that for the first time. That was the first time I had ever seen cardistry or anything like it, and it really blew my mind because it was so much more than just like the performance of a magic trick or something like that. It's so much more freedom and creativity in it, and I could just see that just by looking at it. So I decided I would give it a shot, and started by learning super basic things like like the Charlie air cut and other basic moves like that, and that's kind of what kickstarted my interest in it. And I would actually like to give another shout out to Weston because I found his YouTube page pretty early on into me doing cardistry, and he had some tutorials and stuff on there, and just decided to learn a bunch of the stuff on there, and because of that, I became a pretty big fan of his, and so yeah, that was a major aspect of me getting into cardistry at the beginning, and then it just kind of kickstarted from there, and I fell in love with it and decided that it would be something that I really wanted to do, and got into the motions with like creating moves and finding my own space of creativity with it. And so ever since, I've just been hyped on it, and I love the art. It's incredible. Very thankful to be surrounded by all these awesome people as well that do the same thing. Yeah. Like we have a really awesome community.
Yeah, so definitely really common story. I know we were talking about a little bit before the podcast of most people started in magic and then kind of get into cardistry through that. It is very interesting that we're starting to see more and more people get into cardistry from cardistry, which is pretty cool. But another interesting thing we kind of talked about is that there's usually for a lot of people kind of one video that they saw and they kind of probably remember it very vividly that kind of got them into it. So I know for you, you just said it was Tiger Woods earlier. And then for me personally, it was Opera by Dimitri Arleary. And that like, it kind of opens your mind to like, oh, okay, there's a ridiculous amount of possibilities with this. So it'd be really interesting to see what that video is for a lot of people. Maybe I'll put like a post on my Instagram or something at some point, because that would be an interesting thing to hear about.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's really cool. Everybody has that sort of, spark that kind of, lit up their interest.
I think no matter how good a video gets, like some that is made after that, like nothing's going to compare to that kind of first time that you saw that video. It's just, there's just no way.
Of course.
Just the circumstances behind it.
Of course.
So obviously you talked about how you kind of have met Weston Hamilton and kind of got a little bit more into cardistry through him. One pretty common question or topic that I got from my post on Instagram was just wanted to hear about Cardistry Con, some of your experiences, some of the stories, because a lot of people that responded were people that were there with you, like Weston and such. Will.
Right. Yeah. Right. So originally going into Cardistry Con in Portland, we had a group of like 25 people that we were trying to fit into one Airbnb, and we had like a giant place booked. Everybody had put their deposit down, and that ended up falling through just because I guess like the owners of the Airbnb like revoked our opportunity for the week or whatever. And so me, Weston, Will Farrell, and Mike Warnicki kind of like got together and decided that we wanted to do an Airbnb together. And so, we ended up getting an Airbnb together, and it was a lot of fun. It was a pretty small space, but it was like super affordable, and we weren't really ever there either because we're always out like doing stuff with CardistryCon and, hanging out with other people and everything. And so yeah, man, that whole entire experience, the entire weekend was like the best weekend of my life. Just being surrounded by so many other people that are, into the art form the same way as I am. Because I don't know if there are any cardists close to you, but for me at least, there aren't any for hours away. So it's rare for me to see somebody else that does cardistry. So when I do get that opportunity, it's really special. And so yeah, me and Weston hit it off pretty immediately because we had started talking a little bit before CardistryCon, and him and I became friends prior to CardistryCon. I don't remember exactly how. I think just like me posting stuff and tagging him on Instagram, and then we ended up talking. But I remember when I first started talking to Weston, I was like hyperventilating because he was like one of the first cardists that I saw, and I was like super hyped with all the stuff on his YouTube channel and the Instagram page and everything. So like being able to talk to him was super cool. And then we bonded pretty quickly, and it still kind of blows my mind to say that like him and I are close friends because for the longest time like I just kind of idolized him. Like he was like the coolest dude ever. And so but yeah, me and Will got to Portland first. I think Will got there like before noon. I got there like shortly after noon. And then Mike and Weston didn't even show up until like 11 o'clock that night. Because I guess Weston had some travel issues, like missed his first flight out or something, and then had to book another flight and couldn't even get him in until like later that evening. And so me and Will were kind of just kicking it during the day, got some Popeyes, and we were just like, watching videos and, showing each other our moves and stuff, and it was really cool. But when we all finally met up, this is kind of the same story with so many other cardists that I've met. It's like I don't really have to know anything about them, but like because we both do cardistry, we're just like immediately friends, like right off the bat. And it's really cool. It's a really special thing to have with everybody in the community. And so yeah, we just Airbnb'd from not Airbnb, but Ubered from the Airbnb to the con every day, and then spent most of the day out just like walking around town after the event and like, going out and hanging out with our friends. And at one point we ended up going over to, I want to say it was Matt Fox's Airbnb. There were a bunch of other people that were staying there with him, like Yin. I don't know if you know about Yin, but him and I are close friends, and he was staying there too. And there were quite a few other people, but I want to say there were like 20 to 25 of us in this massive like mansion Airbnb. And, just like hanging out in a giant group, just like watching videos, and, it was so much fun. But we ended up hanging out with that entire massive group pretty much for like the rest of the time. And every time we went out to eat anywhere, they sell yerba mate, like Wayaki yerba mate, everywhere you go in Portland. And so we all loved it. We all got yerba, and ever since then we started calling ourselves the Yerba Gang. And so like we have a whole chat with like everybody that's in the group on Instagram, and like always talking. It's so much fun. But yeah, it was cool. That whole experience was just phenomenal, and like everybody in this community is just so cool, man. Like I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I know at one point you were talking about like just kind of the distance between us. There's oftentimes, unless you're in like Seattle or some of these really big cities like New York, you're probably not going to find a cardist super close to you. I think the closest one to me is maybe 2 hours that I know of. So it is kind of cool how we are so easily bondable, I guess, how easily we are to get along, because we kind of, in a sense, we have to, because there's not many of us. But like you said, there's almost like this this high, because you finally get to talk about this thing that you really enjoy, and you kind of, most of us are super nerdy about it and geeks about it. I would consider myself one for sure. So it's always nice how open the community is and how nice they are. I know I've seen it just countless times through the podcast. I mean, just the fact that I've had 50 plus people on this thing is wild. that I've never met before.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's always such a nice thing about this community is how open we are. And I see you got some guitars in the back there. One question I want to kind of ask you is how you have found kind of some of your other hobbies has affected your cardistry. I know you do snowboarding, some photography, stuff like that, guitars in the background, like I said. So have you ever found like your other hobbies interacting with cardistry?
Definitely with music. I wouldn't say necessarily like, playing guitar or playing another instrument at the same time as doing cardistry, but music definitely influences my cardistry because, like I always listen to music when I'm like creating. I generally always listen to music, period. Like I love music and always like to have it on. But if I'm listening to like something that's upbeat, usually I'll tend to like have a faster flow, like with my moves and like the combos that I'm doing. Or if I'm listening to slower paced music, then it's the same thing. Like I'm slowing it down, kind of trying to like match the flow. And I wouldn't say that music has necessarily influenced my creative process or anything like that, but it definitely helps to have something going on in the background while I'm creating or even just shuffling cards, period. Yeah, none of my other hobbies have really influenced cardistry, other than like worry bricks, maybe like Weston's worry bricks. Like I always tend to find myself like shuffling cards and playing with worry bricks in the other hand. Like I'll be doing like one-handed stuff with cardistry and then like playing with the worry bricks in the other hand. And I just saw some stuff not too long ago, like with Kyle Tran playing with like doing a cut, like a cardistry move with worry bricks like balanced on the packets, and it was super cool, and it kind of like opened up a lot of possibilities in my mind for different things that I could create. So I've been kind of trying to play around with that, but it's really difficult. There's a lot of untouched space in terms of creativity in that certain playing field. But yeah, so I'm very into a lot of things. Cardistry definitely isn't my only hobby. I'm big into playing music. I love playing guitar. I'm big into snowboarding in the winter up here. I live right next to a ski run. I'm pretty much on the mountain, so I can go out and snowboard every single day for the most part. And it's nice because my job pays for my ski pass, so I don't even have to like pay to get out there, which is super awesome. So I'm out there pretty frequently. I was out there for like 3 or 4 hours today, and yeah, I'm also like super big into gaming. I've been gaming my entire life. Like my first, I don't even remember what my first system was. It goes so far back, but I had like a Nintendo 64, had a Super Nintendo, had a PlayStation 1, and like ever since then I've been a big PlayStation guy. I had a PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4. Now I really want a PS5, but they're impossible to come by. But yeah, so I try to find new hobbies to spend my time on, but it has to be something that's really, really intriguing to me, because the way that my hobbies work is I'll find something that I enjoy, and then I'll practice it and practice it and practice it until I get to a certain level where I feel like I'm good at it. And that's kind of how I'm wanting to go with worry bricks right now. That's like definitely my newest hobby. Like it's hard for me to put those things down, man. Like I have to take like a couple days off or like leave them at home to like, like not, what am I trying to say? Like I have to leave them at home to even be able to pick up my cards, because they're just like so accessible, and I don't have to have like clean hands like I like to have with cards. And so, it's super easy, but I like to try and alternate between cardistry and worry bricks so I can keep kind of like an even balance between the two of them. But I'm definitely still like first and foremost a cardist over anything. So, I like to take more passion in that than being a
yeah,
bricker.
I don't know if they,
But
yeah, I don't know if they've made
worry bricks.
a word for that yet. Maybe it's bricker, and I just haven't heard it yet. If it is, that's kind of fun. Hopefully not. Speaking of video games, and this wasn't in the topics that I gave you, but it's just, and you don't have to answer this. This is just a thought I've had in the past. Is like, how could you make cardistry into a video game? It sounds like a really weird thought to have, because I think the initial idea is like it's impossible. Like there's no way you could make that fun. But then I think about it, and there's like skating,
of course.
Like, They made that fun. Dancing became just dance. Like, I feel like
Right.
I don't know how they could do it, but I feel like if it eventually got popular enough, there could be a cardistry video game, and I'm super curious about how that would look.
Yeah, I would. That's a very interesting idea. Like the thing that comes to mind for me would be like maybe something that could help the
Hmm.
creative process for cardists, like some sort of I don't know, like a I don't want to say like an augmented reality, like a VR, but something where it was like some sort of there's like two hands, there's like a deck of cards in the hands. You can like pick what fingers you want to open up like grips with, and it'll like tell you if like the grips won't work, and then like the cards will drop, and you'll have to start over. But then you can like manipulate all the packets in like certain directions and try and create a cut virtually. Like that would be something that's really cool. Like using some sort of like um, AI even to like help you create some sort of move and then pick up an actual deck of cards and then try to practice it that way. But it's really difficult for me to think of how to make a
Yeah,
cardistry video game that would be fun because like if you made it like realistic, like getting into the
you'd get a
game would be like
controller and you'd be like
really really
R
difficult and
L
people would quit.
triangle just to like one button for each finger.
Yeah.
But kind of going in the opposite direction, into a kind of serious topic, real serious, is the creative process. And this is an idea that I always love to visit on the podcast because I think at the core that's what I'm trying to explore. So when it comes to creating moves, do you have any methodology or any way about doing it that you find works well for you?
So a couple years ago, I read a book by Dimitri Arleri. I don't remember the name of the book, but in the book, he outlined how there are two different styles of thinking in the creative process. There is head thinking, where you're, like going over the process in your head and, thinking of the different possibilities of avenues of creativity in your head. And there's also hand thinking, which is, you have the deck of cards in your hands and you're actually like experimenting with the different possibilities of positions to hold grips and maneuvering packets around each other and trying to keep the flow. And I would say that my creative style is definitely more on the lines of hand thinking because I generally like to I've kind of gotten to a point where I don't really look at my hands a lot. Like I definitely multitask with cardistry a lot. Like I always have cards when I'm at work. Like I always have cards when I'm out of the house, period, really. I mean, I don't have them on me when I'm snowboarding, but like anywhere else I am, really, I always have cards on me. And I generally like to focus on something else while I'm, trying to create something in my hands, trying to move these packets around. And it's kind of a win-lose situation because I definitely tend to create a lot more obscure things when I'm focusing on something else and kind of like not giving my full attention to cardistry. But at the same time, because I'm not giving my full attention, it allows me to forget the things that I'm working on at a specific time. And so a lot of times I'll come up with like a crazy move and I'll do something in my hands. And then after I've done it, I'm like, wait, what did I just do? Like, how did I do that? How can I do it again? And believe it or not, that actually, like, even though I'm not giving my full attention to cardistry, it allows me to kind of expand my palette of creativity. And yeah, I've come up with a lot of moves like that. Even just like moves that I have created in the past, like doing those openers, because I've gotten to the point where I have all of my moves down, and so I can do it without looking at it, and I can do it on the fly. And so what I'll do is I'll just naturally do that opener, and then try to explore like other options of places I can go with the move. And two of my most recent moves, Expo and Photo Booth. they both are the same opener. Like if you look closely at the move, it's kind of hard to tell because they were both shot from different angles. But the opener is the same on both moves, and that is actually how I created Photo Booth. Is coming from Expo, I just kind of was messing around with the opener and found out that there was a complete other direction that I could take it and keep a good pace of flow in that same direction. And so, yeah, I generally just pick up a deck of cards and see where I can go from there with my creativity. Like I definitely don't have like an outlined process with steps. And I don't know if there are anybody else that do it in the same way that I do. I'm sure there are. But yeah, that's my creative process for you. I kind of just like fool around with it and see what I can make of it.
Yeah. I think that's how majority of cardists tend to be from what I've experienced. I think very few people are head thinkers when it comes to cardistry. Just for starters, it's extremely hard to do. But
of course.
It is always a fun challenge to try to operate in that space. I know my friend Sam Gordon, he says it's always like a super fun challenge to try to design a move just in your head. And that freaks me out, personally. I don't not do that if I wanted to. For like packet cuts and stuff, for like simpler things maybe, but that's kind of a fun thing you can try to do if you ever feel stuck creatively, is try to make something just with your head. I know that's something someone else has recommended, but I think most people are kind of like you said, kind of hand thinkers, and I think everybody that I've talked to almost always has that experience of doing something really cool and they don't know how they did it, and they don't know how they can recreate it. They don't necessarily know what happened. Know what's cool. I think so many people relate to that in cardistry that I don't think it's like that in most other hobbies, like something like that happening. So that's something a little bit interesting. But thanks for kind of shedding the light on your process. I think that's always a super fun topic. One thing I'm starting to do towards the end of the shows is ask for music recommendations, because I want to create like a massive list of music recommendations from cardists. I think that'd be a really fun thing to do once the season kind of wraps up. So given that you're into guitars and into music, do you have any music recommendations that you think are underrated or just something you want more people to know about?
Well, my music taste is very broad. I'm into so many different things. Like there really isn't a genre of music that I don't like. I like to listen to a bit of everything, and so there are some songs that I've been listening to lately that I feel like more people could get into. And this is actually one that I shared to a friend of mine yesterday. It's like super mellow. I was listening to it on my walk home from snowboarding. And it just like the vibe was super chill. The song it's pronounced My Tuna, but it's Maithuna, My Tuna, by Brad Stank. Brad Stank, Stank. And yeah, it's super mellow. The whole song is like it's a vibe, and it's I really enjoyed it. But I would say that's more on the lines of like alternative rock, maybe alternative. It's like probably a little too mellow to even call it rock, but it's a really, really good song. But I'm looking at my Spotify right now. Let me try and find a good song, a good rap song, because I like a lot of rap. So in this last year, I'm on Spotify, and it gives you Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year. For the year of 2021, my number one artist was this rapper named Larry June. And I really like all of his music. The majority of his songs are like upbeat, like party. I wouldn't even say party, but just like, I don't know. It's the kind of stuff that you can listen to and like dance and like bop your head. Everything by Larry June is good. But one of my favorite ones is called Organic Tokens. It's called Organic Tokens by Larry June. And Yeah, that's it. Literally everything by him. I'm a huge fan of. If you're not the biggest fan of rap, then you might not like it, but I definitely enjoy it. I'm also a big fan of this newer rapper that I've found. His name is um, I think it's Black Sam, but all the A's, so like the A in Black and the A in Sam are V's, so it's BLVCKSVM, like Black Sam, and like all of his music is good too. But I'm trying to find another one by him. Um, this one is called Moses. Is really good. Moses by Black Sam. That one's super good. And then one more music recommendation. One of my all-time favorite songs is called Honeybee, HUNNYBEE, and that's by Unknown Mortal Orchestra. That's like, I'm a huge fan of that song. It's so upbeat, and it's like hard for me not to dance when I'm listening to that song. But yeah, if you want like a playlist recommendation, even like if you like any of the music that I recommended, or like a specific genre of anything, like I'd be happy to send you a playlist, because I have literally like 60 playlists on my Spotify, and they're all like for different moods and different vibes and different genres and stuff like that. Like I'm a big music lover, so I'd be happy to send some more recommendations. But yeah, another big genre that I'm into is classic rock, and that really comes from my history of playing guitar. Because the guy that I took lessons from when I was in high school, like that was his main genre of music that he listened to, was classic rock. And so when he would teach me a song, or anything like that, and even just put on a song, it would always be classic rock. And so I have a couple of really good playlists that are dedicated to classic rock, like a bunch of Led Zeppelin, and like Guns N' Roses, and the Allman Brothers Band, and the Temptations, Leonard Skinner, like all that stuff. Like I'm a big fan of all that too. So yeah, like if any of you guys ever, not even just you, Caleb, but any of you guys ever want any music recommendations or a playlist or anything, you can always hit me up on Instagram, and I would be happy to send you some, because I love sharing music. That's like definitely one of my passions in life, is being able to share music with people. So
yeah, definitely a lot of really good recommendations there. I know Honeybee is one that I've heard personally and I really enjoy. So lots of really good stuff there. Feel free to reach out to Jackson. Apparently he has the stuff. I feel like most cardists in general are pretty similar in that we always are really into music, it seems like, for the most part. So it's always nice to get those music recommendations. One thing I want to talk about real quick, music recommendation wise, just because I haven't talked about it that much with anybody, is it's called prog jazz, that I've just kind of gotten into recently. I think it's, yeah, PROG jazz.
Okay.
I think it stands for progressive jazz, is what I think it stands for. It is the most eclectic, I think is the word to say, music I've ever heard, and I really enjoy it because it's just like super random, and I like it. Check it out if you can. People listening, if you dated, that's fine, but I've been getting really into it.
Okay, I found a playlist. It's actually made by Spotify, prog jazz. Or is it a band, or is it like a genre?
Genre.
Okay, gotcha. All right, I found a playlist. I'm gonna listen to it tonight as soon as this podcast is done. Gotta check it out.
Let me know if you hate it or if you love it, because I feel like there's not going to be an in between.
Of course. Yeah, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay. So that's just something I wanted to mention, because I've been getting really into it the past 3 or 4 days. At the end of the show, I usually like to do what I call roll out the close-up pad, and that's just my fancy way of saying, is there anything that you would like to promote, or any last note you would leave the audience with before we leave?
Not necessarily anything I want to promote. I would definitely like to give a shout out to all of my friends in the Yerba Gang. If you go to the Yerba Gang Instagram, everybody in the Yerba Gang is followed by that account. So you'll know who is in it by the people that account follows. Definitely a shout out to all those guys. Everybody's super cool. Everybody's super great at Cardistry, all a bunch of great people, and I'm super thankful to be involved with all those boys. Definitely want to give a big shout out to Komorabi. Linus, that dude is my man. Everything he's been doing with Copenhagen is like the coolest stuff ever, like so progressive, so, looking towards the future and trying to find a different avenue for creativity in terms of, what he's doing with his company and like the releases and stuff. And so that dude is a brainiac, man. He's like so smart and is killing the game out there. I also want to give a massive shout out again to Weston Hamilton and all the stuff that he's doing with Worry Bricks. Really like the coolest skill toy I've ever seen. And I've tried out a lot of skill toys, so that's something huge. They're just like such a blast. So many, possibilities of new ideas and things. And if you want to get even more into the community of the people that are, involved with Worry Bricks, there is a Discord channel. I'm sure that you can find a link somewhere. You can ask me for it, and I'd be happy to give you an invite link. But everybody shares really good ideas on the Discord channel. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the most part. I'm just like super stoked to be here, super stoked to be involved in this community. And thank you so much, Caleb, for inviting me onto this podcast. Super stoked to be here. Super happy that people are interested in hearing about my ideas and my thoughts regarding the creative process and just information about myself. So Thankful to be here, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, obviously, thanks you for being here. If you guys want to hear more about some of the people he talked about, I have done interviews with Weston Hamilton and Linus Schmidt and some of the people from Komorebi, and I think some of the people at the Yerba game as well. Thank you for Jackson for being here and taking your time to be here. As always, I'll have linked to Jackson's stuff in the description if you want to check him out. I recommend you do. I hope everybody had a little bit of fun, learned a little bit of something about cardistry, and we will see you guys again next week, or at least I will see you guys again next week with another guest. It's been a pleasure, Jackson, and we'll head out now.
All right. Thanks so much, man.
Obviously, yes, for sure.